Growing up in the black community, I understand that a lot of us have very wrong misconceptions about wealth. And seeing that we underachieve compared to many other groups in the US, it's no surprise that this is happening. And the first point I want to get into is wealth when dealing with relationships or finding a partner. I think already as young men, a lot of us struggle to date because many women in this society, especially in today's society, and it seems to be getting younger, where a lot of women mainly just care about being financially stable. I think a lot of modern women, especially black women, they want to meet men already at the finish line, the man who's already accomplished, the man who already has his life figured out. Gone are the days where, a couple will fall in love and work with each other to build a better life together. And seeing that there's many times where younger women will date older men because older men tend to be financially stable and tend to have things figured out. A lot of young men now are struggling to find wives. And it's very evident in the black community because there's many black women in the black community in which they will not date a man unless he's already made it or already has his life figured out. And I think a huge reason why this is for one, Hollywood and social media. I think in today's society, we have a wrong misconception about wealth because there's so many young people now who are millionaires. I don't think we've ever been in a time in human history where we've seen so many rich young people, especially since the rise of social media. Literally anyone can be a millionaire, rich person, wealthy person overnight if they go viral and know how to monetize their social media popularity. Because of that, I think it puts in the mind of a lot of young women, especially black women, that unless a man is already a millionaire by 25, he's unsuccessful and he's not worth your time. I think this also extends to the greater part of the black community in that a lot of our heroes or people we look up to are entertainers. There's the business world and there's the entertainment world. And what I learned is that money flows very differently in entertainment. Any young person can get a deal and make $1 million overnight just like that. Very similar to social media, blowing up on social media. And because in the black community, a lot of our heroes or people we look up to are athletes, they're rappers, they're musicians, they're comedians, there's this conception that it's possible to be rich very young. While in the business world, it usually takes a lot more time to be established or to become a millionaire. They usually say when a man is doing what he has to do, usually in his mid-30s is when he starts to get his stride, is when he starts to make a lot of money, is when his business is starting to take off. But I think compared to other groups in the US, I don't think blacks really emphasize having businesses. Of course, now with the rise of social media, there has been a trend of entrepreneurship and business in the last few years. But for decades now, usually you would find the family business associated with white groups, the Russians, the Europeans, the Koreans, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Jews, while blacks and Irish and Scottish people usually took more individualistic careers that didn't really have the family involved. Because even now you see on social media with all these like dating videos and all that, if a man says he does trucking or if he runs a business, it's unappealing to a lot of black women. It's more about glitz and glamour than actually having a solid foundation. Because everyone wants to date the rapper, the musician, the sports guy, the drug dealer, because these things are seen as cool and they're marketable and they're fancy. Let's say a guy runs a plumbing business or a trucking business. It doesn't have that same pizzazz as these other careers do. So I personally believe that a lot of black men feel like they're failures in their 20s because they see that women their age or their peers or black women tend to want to date the ballers. So I believe a lot of black men feel like failures because a lot of their peers who are wealthy tend to be more so in entertainment, and a lot of black women think that that's the way to become successful. So let's say you have a young brother who's on his grind, who's maybe starting a business or finishing school. A lot of black women won't grab him when he's on his grind before he blows up and work together to build a life and develop those bonds. And then when he actually makes it, he feels more appreciative towards you because he knows that you've been there since the beginning. You're not one of these women who want a trophy husband. You want to get the man who's already crossed the finish line. You were there with him from the ground up, building with him. A lot of American black women are not taught to think that way. It's all about me, 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 me. I need to get mines. I need to be with a man who's balling. I need to be with a man who's already established so I can be there to reap all the benefits. For that reason, I think that a lot of black men feel like failures because it's like when we're young and in our 20s, no women's really paying us attention. Unless, of course, you have money, which usually a lot of young people have if they're in entertainment or on social media or they're in sports. But a lot of people don't understand that most men don't really get wealthy until their 30s, even 40s. But even just going back to the whole fancy and flashy kind of look that a lot of black African Americans want, a lot of us want to look rich without actually being rich. I think because a lot of blacks have this bottom of the barrel mentality. They desire so much to prove that they're worth something. That's why you see all the rappers with the chains, with the gold and the ice, you know, with the grills and with the fancy car and the Louis Vuitton and Gucci, that they want to stunt and prove to people, look, I'm worth something. Look, I got money. While if you look at other groups like maybe the Chinese or, you know, the Russians or any of these other successful groups, you see that their wealth is very subtle. Like I remember one person said there's poor people, there's rich people, and then there's wealthy people. Rich people are the people who want to be flashy and look at me, I'm rich, but true wealth is very subtle. But in African American culture, we want to stunt so hard and prove to people and show off to people. Like, it's crazy when sometimes I go through black neighborhoods and I see like a house is pretty like battered up and old, but yet they have a Corvette in the driveway. It's like you want to look so rich so bad without actually being rich and actually understanding where true wealth actually comes from. Like a lot of blacks, we're not taught to buy houses, we're not taught to invest, we're not taught to really bring the family together as a unit and work together to build the family business. A lot of blacks think very individualistic. Because I've traveled the world, I've seen different cultures. And one thing I will say that a lot of immigrants have against Americans, but specifically black Americans, is that they all stick together. You will find a Russian or Korean family come to the US. Everybody shares one bedroom housing with like 7 people. Everybody's working hard, bringing the money and working together. Mom cooks the food, so you know, people don't have to go out and eat. Dad's running a business. Then the children will help with the business, and eventually they start buying real estate. So then this one family that just moved onto the block, and now they own the whole block. Then they say, okay, you son, you control this store. The other son controls this store. And eventually they grow into an empire that can take care of the family. But in black culture, what we do is that we fight against each other. If Uncle Mark starts a barbershop or some retail business, Uncle Tyrone gets jealous and says, who does Mark think he is? I'm gonna start my own business. Now we got 2 businesses on the block fighting against each other instead of working together and expanding together. Because in the African American community, we all want to fight. There's like a competition with each other. We all want to fight and rival and dominate each other. There's no spirit of cooperation with black people. So instead of having the family unit together and we're all helping each other out to expand and build the community, everyone's kind of doing their own thing individually to various degrees of success. But we wonder a lot of times why other groups or even Africans, the Nigerians, are doing better than us, because they have an understanding of wealth that a lot of African Americans just don't grasp, especially in black culture in which we really celebrate youth. Everything has to be cool and flashy and attractive to be considered like wealthy or good. And that's the thing I wish would change, that we would actually get truly educated about wealth. And it's not just about looking wealthy, but actually being wealthy. And also understanding that young millionaires is a recent phenomenon. Again, most of time in human history, unless you inherited your wealth, most people became millionaires in their 30s or 40s. But because of rappers and music and sports and entertainment and social media, it's like a lot of people think you have to be rich when you're 21. Like, you're just 21, relax, slow down. But my wish also is that black women will grab brothers when they're on their grind and don't complain when they end up dating or marrying white women, Hispanic women, or Asian women. Thankfully, with the internet, it's able to help educate people. But again, with the internet nowadays, you have to want to be educated, because most people get distracted by the nonsense on the internet anyways. But yeah, that's just a thought I had in mind. So, did you guys like the video? What do you think about what I had to say? Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Like and subscribe. And if you guys are interested, please check out any of these other videos here. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.